Okay, this is going to be a little tutorial on how to do this project in Illustrator in full color. I really think this is the best way to do it using the vector-based program rather than Photoshop, but I'll show you how to do it in Photoshop also. I'm going to do my little design here in the split complement of red, violet, yellow, and green. Alright, so I've already started another file here, and one of the things I did in this file is I brought my little CMYK chart in so I can refer to it, but I can also select these for my colors. So I just had saved it as a JPEG and then placed it and just put it over to the side. First thing I want to do is bring in the little piggy. So I'm going to go File, Place, select the little piggy, place. He's going to come in really large, so I'm going to hit the Shift, bring him down and scale. I'm going to go ahead and rotate him a little bit. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to live trace him, but when I do that, I'm going to go to Image Trace and I'm going to go to Silhouette. And when I do that, that'll get rid of the background, right? So now he's got no background. The other thing I want to do is I need to expand it. When I do that, then that will let me edit him. So let's go ahead and put his color in there. So he's going to be green. All right, so there he is. All right. Next I'm going to do is build a little circle. So I'm going to go to the ellipse tool and just click anywhere. I'm going to make this 7 by 7. Okay, comes in as green. I might as well make it yellow because that's the color I'm going to make it. Let me just move it in place here. Okay, and since I'm going to make a compound path, I'm going to make another circle, and I'm going to make that 3 by 3. All right. Okay, see it comes in. We don't want it to be the same color, so I'm just going to make it black. Makes it easy to see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to the center. And right there is a little dialog box to tell me I hit the center. That looks right, although it does look like it needs to come down a little bit more. Right there it says intersect. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to select the yellow, and then with the Shift key select the black circle, Object, Compound Path Make, punches a little hole in there. I've got that done. The next thing I want to do is bring in my little syringe. So I'm going to go File, Place, Syringe, Place. It's kind of small. I'm going to hit the Shift key. I'm going to enlarge it. So even as is in a vector, I'm still going to have to live trace it and expand it so I can work on it. Give it a little bit longer here. All right, so I'm going to go Image Trace, Silhouette, turns it black, that's okay, hit Expand, and now I'm going to select the red violet. There it is. All right. Now, what I need to do is I need to change the opacity of all of these in order for this to work, and I've got my transparency. I'll put it here. My artboard's getting kind of small, so let me change it to 50%. Okay, let me select the yellow. Let me change that to 50%. I don't need to make the piggy transparent because he's on the absolute bottom list, but I do need these guys to be transparent. Just looking at this, I think I better expand the pig just a little bit further. He's a little bit small. Okay, that looks better. Just want to make sure I've got all my areas of overlap that I need. And it looks like I do. There's where all three overlap. There's where the syringe overlaps the green, where it overlaps the yellow. So I'm good. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these guys. And this is the trick I learned from Max today. This is great. I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to go to Flatten Transparency. And I'm going to hit OK. And what's really great about this now is if I go to the Direct Select tool, I can select each one of these as individual sections, right? So what I'm going to do is I need to bring them back to their full saturation. So little part of the syringe here, I'm going to go to the eyedropper tool, right? And I know it needs to be red-violet, so I can click on that, right? And it changes it. Now I can select, it selected that guy too, and what I can do is go back to the eyedropper tool, and I want it to be exactly the same as that. So we've done that. Okay, so that's the red-violet. Now I want to get the yellow to be back to its original intensity, so I'll select the yellow section and use the eyedropper tool. Okay, and then I need to select the other yellow sections, and I can use the eyedropper tool on what I've already done. Okay, so that's looking good. The piggy is the right one. So now what I need to do is adjust these overlap sections. So they look fairly good, but I think that really, if we select this, okay, now let's go to the color CMYK slider. So you can see when I selected this, it brought up the mixture of the CMYK. So I'm just thinking that I want to dominate this with a little bit more yellow. So I'm just going to do that. Now what's nice about Illustrator is when I change this, you can watch the color change in the artwork. Okay. The other thing I want to do is I want to change this part of the syringe right here. Okay, so I want to change this part right here. Looks to me like it might want to be a little bit darker, and probably add a little magenta to it. You can see it changes. That's pretty good. Maybe I add a little bit of black. That looks pretty darn good. All right. The next thing I want to do is change this. I think it should be a little bit more neutral because all three are in there. If I wanted to be totally neutral, I would make these at 50% each, or very close to it. You can see how that's getting more gray. That looks pretty good. Maybe I'm going to add just a little bit red because it's just to let us know it's a syringe. That's pretty good. This actually looks pretty good, the yellow-green. I think what I want to do is on the yellow, I want to lighten it a little bit. So since it's 100% yellow, I'm just going to take some yellow out. It'll lighten it up. You see how that does that? That looks good. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead with the eyedropper tool, direct selection tool, take the eyedropper tool. There you go. So now the whole thing has changed. That's good. All right. Now what that does is it's made everything just a little bit lighter, including this area here. So that's why I want to adjust the yellow-green area. And I think what I'll do is I'll go into the HSB slider, and I'm just going to brighten it up a little bit. That seems to look good. All right, and then I take the eyedropper tool. There we go. All right, I could keep messing around with this, but I think that's pretty good. Now, I just need to deal with the ground. I've got one layer, and I'm going to make a new layer. All right, but that new layer is going to be the background. So what I want to do is by clicking and holding, I'm reversing them. So now layer number 2 is under layer number 1. I'm going to use this. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my palette. All right, so that's in the palette. I'm going to click off this layer, and then what I'm going to do is go to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to create this background color. Let me turn back on that. That looks a little bit red, and it also looks a little bit dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brighten it. Oh, that's definitely too red. So let me go to the CMYK tool. Let me take some of this red out of it. I think I might want to throw in just a little bit more yellow, more blue. There we go. That's pretty nice. All right, so that's it. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is check that the color mode is right. So it says CMYK preview. So this is in CMYK. So we want to save it. We're going to go File, Save As, and I've already got this, but we're going to save it as an Illustrator file. And that's the one that we're going to print. I would also save it as a PDF and save PDF. Now the reason you want to do that is if you go someplace that doesn't have Illustrator, they can print from the PDF. The other thing we need to do, and one of the things we need to do is get rid of this guy right here before we export it. So we'll just delete it, okay? We want to go File and Export. And we want to export this as a JPEG, all right? But we're going to just call this RGB JPEG, because when we go to export it, it's going to ask us, do we want it as a CMYK or an RGB? We want it to be RGB because this is the one that we want to post. And then we're going to go OK and export it to the desktop. Okay, so that's it.